So my first buy of the week is Isaiah Hodgins for the New York Giants. And this is a player right now that in Dynasty, you're not paying much for him. Like he's going for 24 seconds. He's a throw-in player. Come draft day, there'll probably be somebody there at the top of the third that somebody's going to really like that you can get Isaiah Hodgins for. And yes, Isaiah Hodgins is a risk buy-in, but so is anybody. Like anybody's a risk at any time. So what I like about Isaiah Hodgins here is, from he didn't even start joining the team until week 10 is when he came over, when he got cut from the Buffalo Bills. He got brought up because a couple players got hurt for the Bills. Then they traded for Nyheim Hines. Some came off and they cut him. Yep. The Giants bring him in. So from week 10 through week 17, because he didn't play week 18, his games with the Giants, he was wide receiver 21 overall in PPR formats. He had a total of 8 catches for 101 yards, though, and 0 touchdowns in his first 3 games because he wasn't even a starter at that point.
Right.
He was sitting behind like Darius Slayton, Richie James there. So he didn't do a whole lot for those first 3 games.
Yep.
But after that, he was wide receiver 13 overall for the final 5 games, averaging 15.2 points per game and scored a touchdown in 4 out of 5 games in that stretch. And in this playoff game, his first playoff game, 8 catches, 105 yards, and 1 touchdown. So what do these stats mean? The stats mean that he has a really good rapport with Daniel Jones. That showed.
Yep.
And what's nice is what's good for him to come in is, Brian Daboll was the offensive coordinator for the Bills, so he already had a good foundation on that system there. Yeah. So when he came in, he kind of had a good grasper. He knew, I know he was quoted saying, like, I felt really good going in there. Brian Daboll believed in me. I signed with the team. He's FaceTiming me. He's talking to me, and I just felt I had to get better. And I just clicked with Daniel Jones. And on top of that, everybody there is a free agent. Everybody. Kenny Galladay is going to be a post-June 1st cut. He's gone. That money's long gone.
Yep.
Everybody else is a free agent.
Sterling Shepard, gone, right?
Gone. Darius Slayton, gone. Richie James, free agent, gone. Isaiah Hodgins, however, is a restricted free agent, which means the Giants can retain him for a 1-year deal, and it's only for $870,000. So to me,
I looked on Spot Rec, and I think he's got 1 more year until he's an exclusive right free agent, according to Spot Rec.
He's an exclusive rights free agent.
Okay,
yes.
And those are like the easiest to retain. It basically just gives you,
do you want him? Yes or no?
Exactly, right of first refusal, basically.
And it might give him even a longer term deal because they need somebody here. He had a really good year for them. So right now it's such a cheap salary with a really good rapport. The fact they're going to pay Saquon Barkley, they're going to pay Daniel Jones. Like this is right up their alley what they're going to need. And who's going to compete with is Wan'Dale Robinson. And I like Wan'Dale Robinson. I was a big fan of his tape. I like Wan'Dale Robinson way more than these 2 guys who are Calvin Austin guys, and I was Wan'Dale Robinson guy. So
we'll see how this one works out. It's not like
I think I still had Wan'Dale Robinson over.
Nope. False. Fake news.
I definitely had Calvin Austin above him.
I was going to say, I didn't. I'll check my nerd scores. We can see for sure.
Okay, because I remember I was like, dude, I like Wan'Dale Robinson, but I was like he's like Calvin Austin, but better. That's what I remember saying in the podcast. I was like, why do they don't like Wan'Dale more? But anyways,
Calvin Austin was injured last year, never got a chance to play.
So was Wan'Dale Robinson towards ACL. We can love him. ACL. Tore.
We'll see.
It can break your heart. It can break your knee. So he's going to extend it. This is a guy who came in and just really tore it up. And what's nice is he offers, like, he's the complete opposite of Wan'Dale Robinson, right? Wan'Dale Robinson, 5'8", 185 pounds.
Super fast, super quick. Hodgins is more that big physical presence.
He
6'4".
Exactly what he did at Oregon State, right? Like the 6'4", 210-pound red zone threat. And it showed with all those touchdowns there that he scored. So, and I know they have Daniel Bellinger as well, could be a red zone threat. But this is what he gets with Hodgins, is you get a really good upside. Will he be wide receiver 13 next year? That's not what I'm saying. But he has a really good chance to come in here. I expect the Giants to possibly sign somebody, if not draft somebody. Mm-hmm. But even if they draft somebody,
I think they will too.
That rapport he already has with Daniel Jones, there's a very good chance you could trade for the number 1 receiver on the Giants today for a 3rd round pick.
3rd round draft pick. And that's not out of the question. I'm with you there. I was looking into the same thing. I actually started doing research, and I came up with all the same numbers that you did on Isaiah Hodgins before you called him and said, "Hey, this is gonna be my buy."
And you were like, "Dang it!"
I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah." Because I wasted about a half hour of my life. But he's a very special. I wouldn't say he's very special, but he's been in this same system. I know he's new to New York, but he's been in the same system for his whole career basically, and he's starting to show in this third year in the NFL, that he can do it. And, all he needed was kind of an opportunity, and it looks like he's finally going to get it with New York. And like you said, with them needing to pay other players, they're not going to have a bunch of spendable cash this year. They're going to have some cap hit involved with getting rid of Galladay, and then they're going to be paying a bunch of other guys. They're going to have to allocate some funds, I guess, a little bit cheaply here on the wide receivers. So he has a pretty good shot, I think, at being the guy.
I mean, not coming to the team to week 10, when the year was all said and done, this was somebody who ranked fourth on the team in total targets at 42. He was fourth on the team in receptions, number one in team, tied for first with touchdowns, only 4, but still tied for first on the team. He came in more than half the season later and still dominated pretty much the statistical line for the New York Giants. And for a team that is looking to propel itself from that first round loss in the playoffs to, did they lose in the first round? Second round. They won their first game. And to propel that, to try and get to the NFC Championship game, they need a lot of people that are familiar with what they had going on building off of last year. So it doesn't matter who they bring in, that wouldn't really deter me. If anything, it makes Isaiah Hodgins even a cheaper value buy. If they traded for DeAndre Hopkins, they have Wan'Dale Robinson, like, I guess you don't worry about Isaiah Hodgins. No, that's not the case. You always want to have that rapport with that quarterback. That's something you cannot underestimate. Because just like we fall in love with the running backs and the amount of carries they're going to get, same thing for targets and wide receivers. We want to be that first look for the quarterback, right? Like, how many targets a game is he seeing? How many opportunities does he have to score fantasy football points, right? Because that's all we're looking for here. It's just opportunity to score as many points as possible. I think Isaiah Hodgins, for the cost right now, is probably one of the best buys you go out there and get in Dynasty. The price will not set you back if it fails, but if it hits, what looks like an overpay today is an underpay tomorrow.
What looks like an underpay is going to be a grossly underpay. I mean, a third-round draft pick is crazy if you can get a guy that's going to be anywhere in your starting lineup. I mean, that's fantastic, especially if he's that young.
Right. If he ends up in the top 24 receiver, grand slam, top 36, home run.
Absolutely.